Hello and welcome to Spardha Lines, your one-stop destination for the civil services preparation, UPSC, KPSC and other relevant examinations. Today we have picked up a couple of important articles from the Hindu which are very significant from your GS paper 1, GS paper 2 and GS 3 perspective. Let's get started and look into the first article. Before we look into the first article, I have a request for you. What is that you have to do? Click on the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share it with your fellow aspirants as well. In case you want me to discuss any of the topics whatsoever, please put it on the comment section so that I can record this video and release it on YouTube as well. Let's look into the first article. Dark pattern sales by airlines, online agents deemed as a cyber crime. This article here is about cyber crime, which has an attachment to what is called as a dark pattern. These two articles, that is the dark pattern as well as the cyber crime issue, can be important from your GS paper 2 governance. It can also be an aspect of your economy as well as your internal security. Let me explain this, how all these can be correlated, and this can be asked in any of these papers as well. First, we have to understand what is the context. Following complaints about practices by airlines and online travel agents that entail tricking consumers into making unintended purchase, such as paying for the seats, booking flight tickets, which one government official called it a cyber crime. What is this article speaking about? The article here is speaking about what is called as a dark pattern. What is this dark pattern? Dark pattern happens to be one of the concepts employed by the agencies as well as by the online platform, basically to ensure that a certain section of people or individual buy a product or a service even if they do not want to buy that particular service. So nudging them, encouraging them and pushing them to buy a product which they originally did not want to buy is what is called as a dark pattern. So dark pattern is a pattern which is used by some of the online platforms as well as in the present situation by the airline companies. So what is dark pattern? It is one where an entity nudges consumers to buy products they didn't intend to, which is an unfair trade practice and can constitute as a cyber crime, says this article. How does this work? When we speak about dark pattern, there are different aspects to a dark pattern. How does it work? Let's say for example, I go on an online platform. For the sake of simplification alone, I am taking the name of Flipkart or Amazon. But this is nowhere related to Flipkart or Amazon, or it can be any other website as well. Let's say for example, I would want to buy a product. So what do? I go on a website. What does this website do? This website basically will only cater to its own preferences and not to the preferences of me. How does it work? Let's say for example, I have selected one of the product, and this particular product, as I select, I put it on the cart. So in the cart, I select one of the product and this will go into my cart. So I have selected one product, I have selected second product, but then there are some websites and there are some companies, while I would have selected one or two products, this will also add additional product into my cart list. This is what is called as dark pattern, one of the examples of dark pattern. So I would have selected one t-shirt and one trouser, but then when I go to my cart list, there would be 3 products in it. That is an aspect of a dark pattern. Another aspect of dark pattern, let's say you go and visit on a particular website. You want to buy a watch. So what exactly happens? You keep searching for the right watch that you would want to buy. At that particular moment, you will have a window which will say that there are only these many products, that there are only 2 products on our website, and if you don't buy this particular product within a particular period of time, the cost of this particular product will also increase. Let's say now we are giving you a discount. Let's say the product price is about 10,000 or 10k. So what does this website do? It says that if you do not buy this particular product in about 5 minutes, in about 10 minutes, this product's price will also increase to 12k, or it will also send you a message saying that this particular product is just 1 in number, while you were actually looking for more product. You wanted to buy a peaceful one, but that does not happen that way. They constantly keep bombarding you and it keeps showing you a pop-up message saying that there is only one product. If you do not buy it right now, then you would not be able to buy this product at all. So on one side, they show that there is discount that is given to this particular product, and on the other side they also say that there is very limited stock, while they would have many quantity of this particular stock. They might even have 10 or 100 of this particular kind of watches, but they show you, they reflect in such a way that you have only one product, or they are giving you a discount. That is what is called as false urgency. So what happens in false urgency in the airlines? You go, let's say for example, to Indigo, or let's say for example you would also go to Make My Trip. So what do they project? Let's say for example you would want to move from Bengaluru to Mumbai and you would want to book a ticket as well. So what do they show? There comes a pop-up window. The pop-up window shows that there is only one ticket left out, and if you would want to buy this particular ticket, that you have to shell out so and so money. If you do not shell out so and so money within this particular period, then this particular price of the ticket will skyrocket to more than the amount. So there is a false urgency that is imposed on you. They will say that there is only one ticket right now. In case you want to buy it as soon as possible. That is what is called as false urgency. So what is happening with the airline companies right now? These airline companies are engaging in dark patterns where even if you do not want to buy this particular product, you are encouraged, you are nudged, and you are completely product to buy this particular product. And one such example of dark pattern happens to be false urgency. So in false urgency, what happens? They show a particular window that despite they having number of seats, it can be 5, 10, so many, but then they do not show that, but then they push a pop-up window which says that there is only one seat. Because there is only one seat, you would buy it immediately. That is the complaint that has been raised with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and one of the official calls it as the cyber crime. So it can be an important aspect of your GS paper 3 internal security, it can be an aspect of your GS paper 2 governance, it can also be an aspect of science and technology where algorithms are being used, science and technology modules have been used basically to create such dark patterns. The second aspect of dark pattern happens to be the skip button. What is the skip button? Let's say for example, you go to a particular website. There are a couple of websites that you visit. So you visit a website. So in this particular website, there are two parts that you have to look into. One is what is called as cookies. The other is what is called as the skip button. So when you visit a website, then there will be a particular website which will keep targeting you, which will be constantly seeing you what you are looking at. So this cookies is like the temporary one. So they would want to constantly look at you so that it can keep surfacing every now and then what are the products that the likelihood that you may be able to buy. But when you look at the cookies, what would happen? There will be accept all cookies and reject all cookies. So the reject all cookies will not be seen at all. Ideally, they should also give you that particular provision in that particular website, but they do not give you that provision. And added to that, accept all cookies will be in bold, it will be in red, so that the minute you see it, you will be able to clearly see it and you have to accept the cookies. But if you have to reject the cookies, that option is not at all given. That is an aspect of dark pattern. Or let's say for example, you would want to buy a particular product, or there are terms and conditions that are present. Accept terms and conditions will be given in such a way that you would be able to prominently see whether you can accept it or reject it. But when it comes to skipping it, it is given in grey color, or it is given in a very minute fashion where you would not be able to recognize. That is an aspect of dark pattern. So even when you visit these airline companies, let's say for example, there is a particular service that this particular airline company is providing you, you would be able to select that particular service in a prominent way. But if you have to skip that, you would not be able to skip that as well. And that is what is called as the interface interference. Skip is placed in the top right corner and displayed in a tiny font, and added to it, whenever you also give the skip button, you should be able to get the seat allocation. Let's say for example, if there is a particular seat that you have selected, even if that is not there, it has to be auto assigned, but that is not taken into picture by these companies. The fourth is with respect to the travel insurance. What exactly happens? Let's say for example, you are traveling in an airline, you have booked a ticket, but at one particular period of time, there would also be a pop-up window which say that you have to buy this insurance plan. What if something happens to you? What if your family has to be taken care of? At that particular moment, the kind of words that they put in is, I will risk my trip. So the minute you see these words, you would immediately want to buy an insurance plan. That is an aspect of dark pattern. And Make My Trip also adds a convenience fee where the customer reaches the payment gateway. Ideally, whenever I am being imposed with the convenience fee or any other additional fee charges, this should be told at the starting. So you would take so many steps, you would start uploading your documents, you would have already taken enough number of steps. Only at the end of the payment gateway, when you are supposed to make the payment, you will have an additional fee that is attached to the main fee, which is called as conveyance fee. Had this been shown at the originally, that is at the start of you filling that particular form, you might have avoided it. But now that you are in an urgency, now that you have filled all the form, now that you have uploaded the documents, you will continuously pay the conveyance fee, and you would not want to look at alternative channels as well. This is again an aspect of dark pattern. Ideally, had it been told at the start, maybe you would have looked at for other options, you would have looked for better options as well. But since you were not told at the start, you would continue to pay the amount, and once you pay the amount, ultimately what would happen? You are imposed with the conveyance fees. All these are the aspects of what is called as the dark pattern, which is being constantly used in all these aviation industry and its companies, and this has to stop because this is equivalent to cybercrime, says the article. Added to it, there are other unfair trade practices as well. In order to overcome all these issues, what we have is the passenger charter that the government of India came up with back in the year 2019. Who regulates all this? We have the DGCA, which happens to be the foremost authority regulating air transport services to, from and within India. It enforces civil air regulations, air safety and airworthiness standards, and we also have civil aviation requirements issued by DGCA and the passenger charter of rights issued by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, currently called as passenger rights. So what are these passenger charter of rights or the passenger charter? These are the rights that you have. Let's say for example, I am traveling in an aircraft. Now what if I have booked my ticket for 5 p.m. So from 5 p.m. I am supposed to leave from Bengaluru and I am supposed to reach say Delhi by around 8 p.m. because I have an important appointment at around 9 p.m. So by 9 p.m. I have to be within that particular premise. But what exactly happens? There is delay as well, and this delay is about 3 hours, 4 hours, so on and so forth. So whenever there is a delay, then certain rights will be given to me, and the compensation will have to be paid by this airport authorities and that company. That is what is called as passengers' rights. So what are these passenger charters? Passenger charters are nothing but rights that are accorded to me in case a service has to be provided compulsorily by the airport, by the company, but then it fails to deliver these services to me. Since it fails to deliver these services to me, I need to be provided certain compensation, and that compensation or the rights that is accorded to me is defined under the passenger charter. So let's say for example, if there is flight cancellation, let's say if I have to go and meet a particular person at a particular period of time, I have booked it, but then all of a sudden they cancel the flight. So I have to be paid some compensation. So at least 24 hours before departure, then it also has to pay out an additional compensation of 5,000 to 10,000. If I am denied boarding into that flight, there is a compensation of 10,000 to 20,000 in certain situations. And in case I have been paid, there is cancellation or I am not allowed to board on that particular flight. In case I have paid via cash, I have to be returned with cash immediately. If it is via credit card, within 7 days it has to come back to my credit card. These are some of the rights that are also present as part of the passenger charter. That apart, the government of India has also taken couple of other measures to address the grievances of the individuals. One is what is called as the Digi Yatra. The other is what is called as the Air Seva app. What is this Digi Yatra? It is an industry-led initiative coordinated by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, basically to transform the nation into a digitally empowered society. One is to digitize air travel experience, single point verification of the individuals, value added services, enhanced security and technical standards are also formulated by the government of India. Similarly, we have the Air Seva app, which brings together all stakeholders of a common platform to ensure timely and effective handling of the consumer grievances, and to disseminate real-time data. So to address all these grievances, we already have the Air Seva app, we also have the digital Yatra as well. These are some of the measures that have been taken. So dark pattern continues to haunt many sectors, and now civil aviation is one such sector where the dark pattern has also entered into picture. People have filed complaints with respect to the dark patterns, and as a result these issues will have to be addressed, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article says odorless, tasteless, lethal thallium as a murder weapon. The article here is important from your GS paper 3 Science and Technology. The article here makes a reference to thallium. Thallium was originally discovered back in the year 1861. It was discovered by William Crookes. It is derived from the Greek word thallos, meaning a green twig. Which is the group that it belongs to? It belongs to group 13. It has a period of 6, block P, and melting point is 304 degrees centigrade, boiling point is 1473 degrees centigrade, density is 11.8 gram per cubic meter, relative mass is 204.38, atomic number is 81, state at 20 degree is solid, and key isotope happens to be T1205. So when we speak about thallium, it happens to be one of the important elements. It is a chemical element which has an atomic number of 81. It has the symbol T1, Ti, and ultimately all this means that this becomes the basic properties of the thallium. It has as many as 41 isotopes. Remember, this can also be very important from the preliminary examination point of view, that there are as many as 41 isotopes of this particular element, and its isotopes range from 176 up until 216. So its isotope range is from 117 up until 216. This happens to be a gray post-transition metal that is not found in the free nature. So remember, it is not found in free nature. Let's say for example we have gold. Are we able to find it in nature? Yes, if you dig it you will be able to get gold. Similarly we have iron as well, but is it available in free in nature? No, this is not available in free nature. That happens to be the main characteristics of gallium. So when it comes to the appearance, it happens to be a soft silvery white metal that tarnishes easily. The use of thallium is limited as it is a toxic element. Thallium sulfate was employed in a rodent killer. It is odorless and tasteless. This happens to be an important pointer, and it has been used as a poison and has been prohibited in most developed countries. Since it is being used as a poison, it is blocked and is not used in couple of countries. So remember, what are the uses of it? It is used to kill rodents, it is used to kill ants in couple of places world over, and since it is odorless, this is also being employed as a murder agent in case people want to kill another human being. Since it is odorless, it is tasteless, it is mixed with water, and ultimately when people start consuming it, they immediately pass away. That is what the article says, that recently thallium has been used and people have been killed as well. Most thallium is used by electronics industry in photoelectric cells. Thallium oxide is used to produce special glass with a high index of refraction and also low melting glass that becomes fluid at about 125 K. An alloy of mercury containing 8% thallium has a melting point 10 degrees centigrade lower than mercury alone. This can be used in low temperature thermometers as well as switches. So what are the uses of it? When it comes to the uses, it is used in electronic industry, and the remaining is also used in pharmaceutical industry and infrared detectors as well. And this is also used, as we just discussed, in ant and the rat poison. And do note, when it comes to these agents, it is mostly used as poison, and that is why it is banned in number of countries. What is the biological role? Thallium has no biological role. It is very toxic, and there is evidence that the vapor is also teratogenic, disturbs the development of embryo as well as fetus, and it is also carcinogenic, that is, it is cancerous agent. It can displace potassium around the body, affecting the central nervous system. So where is it found? Thallium is found in several ores. One of these is the pyrites, which is used to produce sulfuric acid. Some thallium is obtained from pyrites, but it is mainly obtained as a byproduct of copper, zinc and lead refining. Thallium is also present in manganese modules found on the ocean floor. And when a person has taken thallium, this has to be stopped. That is, it is far more poisonous as well. In order to prevent it, we have what is called as the Prussian blue. It is a pill that may be used as a radiation emergency to help remove radioactive cesium and thallium from inside a person's body. Prussian blue traps radioactive cesium and thallium in the intestines and keeps them from being reabsorbed by the body. These are some of the measures that one would be able to prevent poisoning of a thallium in the body. So this happens to be used as ant and rodent killer. It is a poison to kill them, and at the same time, remember, it can be poisonous, it is odorless, it is tasteless. If it is mixed with the water, people won't know. In case they consume it, they can immediately pass away. That is why this article becomes very, very important. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about one of the sections of the Information Technology Act. The article here is speaking about section 67 of the Information Technology Act. Let's understand this article a bit later, but let's understand what is this section all about. Section 67 of the Information Technology basically speaks about punishment for publishing or transmitting obscene material in the electronic form. Let's say for example, there is one of the images, or let's say for example, there is a video. This image or the video is in obscene form. So what do I mean by it? It has a video or an image where a video or an image, a consent of that particular victim has not been taken. It is in an aggressive sexual intent form, and without the consent of that particular individual or that person, this image has been transmitted to another individual or it has been published. When I say published, what does it mean? Let's say for example, I go on Facebook, or let's say for example, I go on Instagram, or let's say for example, I go on X, that is the previously Twitter. What if I upload an image? So uploading an image and putting it on my wall is called as publishing. So when I publish an image or a video without the consent of an individual or without the consent of a woman, which happens to tarnish her image and in such a way that I have not taken the permission, there is no consent in this particular place, and this has to be lascivious or prurient interest, which means to say that it is very sexual in nature, sexual in content, and as a result the reputation of that particular person could be at stake, privacy is violated and the dignity of the individual is violated. So if I am publishing, which means I am uploading an image on the social media platform, or someone has uploaded it, I am retransmitting it, that is someone else has uploaded it but I am retransmitting it onto my wall, that is barred under section 67 of the Information Technology Act. So whoever publishes, that is I am uploading it on my wall, or transmits it, which basically means that someone else has uploaded it but then I am sharing the same thing onto my wall, and causes to be published or transmitted in the electronic form. Electronic form is not physical transmission. So when I am physically, let's say for example, I have photo with me, I am giving this photo to someone else, is it coming under the 67 Act? No, this comes under some other law, that is IPC. But if it is in the electronic form, in that case, if I am sending an email, or let's say for example, I am attaching a photograph or a video, I am transmitting it, that is what is covered under the IT Act. So any material which is lascivious or appeals to be prurient interest, or if its effect is such as to tend to deprave and correct persons who are likely, having regard to all relevant circumstances, to read, see or hear the matter contained or embodied in it, shall be punished on first conviction with an imprisonment for an either for a description which may extend to 3 years and with fine, which may extend to 5 lakh rupees and in the event of second or subsequent conviction. So for the first time it will be 3 years with fine which may extend to 5 lakh rupees. So first time he'll have an imprisonment of 3 years with fine which may extend up until 5 lakh, and in the event of second, that he is convicted for the second time or for the subsequent time, then the imprisonment may extend to 5 years and also with fine which may extend up to 10 lakh rupees as well. So for the first time it is 3 years, and for the second time and subsequent time it is 5 years, and the fine for the first time is about 5 lakh, and in the subsequent time it may extend up until 10 lakh rupees as well. This is what is section 67 of the IT Act. Recently there was a case that happened in the state of Uttar Pradesh. What exactly happened? There was a person who had liked, it is not transmission, it is not publishing, but he had liked it, and as a result what the police alleged was, since this person liked it, people from a certain community saw it, and as a result without taking permission there were about 600 to 700 people who came up and they had their presence in that particular area, leading to law and order problem. Now the question is liked. What happens in publishing? You upload an image. What happens in transmitting? You're taking a particular content and also posting it on your wall, but you're not the original creator or you're not the original person who uploaded it. But then the question was asked before the High Court, is liking equivalent to publishing or the transmitting? There are two ways of looking at it. Let's say if I am publishing or I am uploading it, I am the person who is creating it and uploading it. What is transmitting? I am recirculating the same message, but is it same that as liked? The answer is a no, according to Allahabad High Court. So Allahabad High Court has currently gone on to say that if I've liked a particular photo or if I've liked something, that is not equivalent to publishing or transmitting it. If I'm publishing it, I'm uploading it. If I'm transmitting, I'm resharing it. But if I'm liking it, I'm not publishing it or I'm not transmitting it. So it is not coming under section 67 of the IT Act, says the Allahabad High Court judge. But then platforms of late have also come up with a new feature as well. Let's say for example there is LinkedIn. What if I like a post? If I like a post on, let's say, LinkedIn, or I like an image, it is also immediately transmitted to all my contacts as well. So the answer is, if I'm liking something on LinkedIn or on Twitter or even on Facebook, just because I liked it, my followers, which means to say my friends whom I'm connected with, will also be able to see it primarily because I liked it. So it has to be equivalent to transmitting. But the judge in this particular case goes on to say that in the present instance, in this particular case, it is not speaking about sexual content or sexual orientation, or it is not about any of the sexually transmitted images. It was provocative in nature. If it is provocative in nature, just because I liked it, there were people from a specific community who assembled. They did not get the permission, or they did not seek the permission from the law and order authorities. Yes, they did assemble, but that section does not make any reference to provocation. This section only speak about sexual content. It is not speaking about provocative statements. Despite you saying that liking is equivalent to transmission, that can be accepted to a certain extent. But what is the issue here? Section 67 of the IT Act basically speaks about obscene material. It does not speak about provocative material. What is provocative material? I am making a statement. My people, come and assemble here. Let's go against the state. Let's take arms against the state. This is a provocative statement. If I am making such statement, that will not come under section 67 of the IT Act. Why? Because section 67 of the IT Act is restricted. It has a very narrow interpretation, and that narrow interpretation is only with respect to sharing of the obscene material. It does not speak about provocative statements. Had you booked this person under Indian Penal Code, under section 292 of the Indian Penal Code, that would have been a different ballgame. But you have booked this person under section 67 of the IT Act, and section 67 of the IT Act only deals with publishing and transmitting obscene material. And in this particular case, it might be a provocating statement. I might have liked it. It might have gone to all my friends offence as well, but this is not about obscene material, but this is more about what is called as the provocative statement. So if people have assembled, you should have booked him under IPC, and that is why this particular section does not come. So merely liking a post is not an offence under the IT Act in the specific case, says the Allahabad High Court. So publishing and transmitting can also be interpreted as liking, but when I like it, that liking should be in such a way that it should go to all my followers like in LinkedIn. But in this case, it is only with respect to the obscene material. Since obscene material is not present, this cannot be taken into consideration, said the Allahabad High Court. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about star campaigners. This is very important from your GS paper 2 perspective, which is polity. Who is a star campaigner? He is a celebrity vote seeker in an election for a political party. This person can be a politician or even a film star. There is no law governing who can or cannot be a star campaigner. Who is a star campaigner? Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a star campaigner. Rahul Gandhi is a star campaigner, or it can be any celebrity as well. Who is a star campaigner? A person will be given a tag as a star campaigner, and this person would be able to visit a constituency, and this person would also be able to go to a particular state or a specific region. Why is this person called a star campaigner? Because he happens to be a crowd winner. He will pull in large number of crowd as well, and if he comes to that particular place, large number of people assemble at that place, which is why he is called as a star campaigner. And do note, there is no law that speaks about the star campaigner. And how many people can be added as star campaigner? A recognized party declared as by the Election Commission can nominate a maximum of 40 star campaigners for that political party. It can be the BJP, it can be the Congress, it can be the JDU, so on and so forth. So a recognized political party can nominate as many as 40 star campaigners. An unrecognized political party can nominate a maximum of 20 star campaigners. They are nominated by the concerned political party, specifying their constituencies and the duration of the stay. But then what you also have to understand is what is the advantage of tagging a person as a star campaigner? There can be many people who would come and go. But what if a person is given a tag of star campaigner? Let's say for the Lok Sabha elections, if a person is able to spend about 70 lakh rupees. So let's say the government of, that is the Election Commission of India, has said that a person for the Lok Sabha elections can spend a maximum of 70 lakhs. And this person in an affidavit will also have to give an intimation and will also have to submit a report to the Election Commission that he has spent so and so amount. So what is the cap that has been laid by the Election Commission of India? For the Lok Sabha elections, a candidate would be able to spend 70 lakhs. What if a person is coming as a star campaigner to that particular constituency where the candidate, let's say for example, I am a candidate who is contesting from Bangalore North. No, I am not contesting from Bangalore North, I am just giving you an example. So Bangalore North happens to be a constituency. So I am contesting as an MP from one of the political parties in Bangalore North constituency. So I rope in one of the persons as a star campaigner. So this star campaigner, if he comes and then he also voices his opinion and he supports a political party in that constituency, not in specific reference to me, but as a political party, then this person's expenditure will not be included in my expenditure. Despite this star campaigner coming to this constituency and seeking for votes for that political party, not in my name, but in the political party's name, since he is coming, even if he is coming, the person's, let's say he has to travel, air travel, or let's say for example he comes and speaks, so his air travel and other expenses will not be added in my expenses. So I have a cap of 70 lakhs, I should be able to spend only about 70 lakhs. But if it is a person who is tagged as a star campaigner, if he is coming, he is speaking for the political party, in that case his expenses, his air travel will not be added as my expenses, and as a result I would be given more leverage, I would have more money at my disposal, and I would be able to spend more money that is within the cap of 70 lakh in this particular constituency. So a star campaigner's expenses, his travel expenses, his other expenses will not be added in a candidate's expenditure if that star campaigner speaks generally about the political party and its agenda and not in specific reference to me as a candidate. So what are the exemptions of a star campaigner? For an individual candidate to get a relief from the campaign expenditure, the star campaigner has to limit oneself to the general campaigning. That is, he has to speak about the political party, the agenda of the political party, but not take reference to me. That is, Advocate Ajay Narayan is contesting from Bangalore North. He should not say my name, but instead he should only be speaking about that this political party A, this political party B, this political party C is so and so, and this candidate is contesting from so and so political party. So there has to be a general campaigning. You should not take out my name. That is when I would be given an exemption. If he or she shares stage with the candidate, the entire campaign cost except expenditure incurred on traveling will be added to the candidate's election expenses. This applies even if the star campaigner seeks vote for the candidate taking his or her name. So if he is taking his or her name, or if has the presence in that particular stage, that can also become an exemption. If more than one candidate share the stage with the star campaigner, the expenditure incurred on the rally will be shared equally by the contestants. Let's say for example, I am contesting from Bangalore North, but then there is another person who is contesting from Bangalore Center. So both these people have come together, and then there is star campaigner. So we have to distribute the differences. That is, it can be split. Let's say if there is let's say hypothetically we are spending about 50,000, 25,000 will be borne by me, the other 25,000 will be borne by another person who is contesting from a different region. If the candidates are not present but their posters or photographs have been displayed in their constituency where a star campaigner holds a poll rally, the entire expense will be added to the election expenses of the contestant. The MCC guidelines say that when a prime minister or a former prime minister is a star campaigner, the expenditure incurred on security, including on the bulletproof vehicle, will be borne by the government and will not be added to the election expenses of the party of that individual. So if it is a prime minister or the previous prime minister, those expenses, that is, you need the security, battalion of people come as well, they need to be provided bulletproof car as well. Will it be part of my expenditure? No. However, if another campaigner travels with the prime minister or a former minister, the individual candidate will have to bear 50% of the expenditure incurred on the security arrangements. Apart from the prime minister, if there is any other person who is coming with the prime minister, then 50% of the expenditure as part of the security arrangement will have to be borne by me. For the prime minister, I don't have to do it, but for that additional person who is coming with the prime minister, I may have to shell out this 50% cash for that person in the expenditure component. That is what is the star campaigner, and that is what is important from your GS paper 2 polity perspective. Now let's look into the next article. This article says a China-India partnership, its vast global potential. The article here is speaking about India and China's relationship. We have wars that are taking place in Ukraine. There is instability in couple of regions world over, for example in Israel and Palestine as well. So what we have is a warlike situation world over. So what this article basically goes on to say, that India and China as older civilizations and as new age powers of Asia can come together and address all these issues is what is this article all about. So the article goes on to say that as Asian civilization, immediately after independence, we came up with what is called as Panchashil. What is this Panchashil? This was a treaty that was signed between Nehru and the head of the China back then, that is Xi Jinping back then. So what did he do? Not Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping happens to be the present head. Back in the 1949, you had the head of China, Mao Zedong, who immediately signed a treaty which is called as Tribal Panchashil, that we will not be interfering in the internal affairs, we will not disturb the border areas. Such was the tribal, that is what is called as the Panchashil. So immediately after independence, we had the Panchashil where we did discuss about not interfering with the internal affairs, not interfering on the domestic front, respecting the boundary as well, maintaining the peace and tranquility and ensuring that we respect each other's value system. That was what is Panchashil. So immediately after the independence, we came up with Panchashil. We have been implementing it, and similarly for the global prosperity, we have a value system. The Chinese people have cherished the vision of a world of fairness and justice of common good, and India also has a principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. So India and China have similar things, is what the author says in this particular case. And then the author also speaks about different initiatives taken. One is with respect to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, then initiatives taken under the BRICS to basically ensure peace and tranquility in couple of regions world over. So this article is just a read. This is nowhere working out in practical reality, because China believes in hegemony, it believes in stamping its authority, and it also believes in creating more chaos world over, and it has issues with most of the countries in border areas as well, and these countries are also facing the heat of China as well. So what China has been able to do, in reality this is not the reality, but the reality is far in excess in the hegemony, and that is the normality according to the China. So what this article promotes is just for the sake of reading. So read this article. Nothing is important from the examination point of view, but you have to know the perspective as well. So this article speaks about Panchashil, which is very important, and it also speaks about a couple of initiatives taken by China, which we have discussed recently in the form of Belt and Road Initiative, and it also speaks about Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative. So these are the initiatives taken by China that it says is promoting peace and tranquility world over. That is what you have to just read it. But what is important, we have already discussed. We have discussed about the Belt and the Road Initiative. We have also discussed how China is actually exploring these options of coming up with infrastructural support to counter China. You have United States of America, India, Japan. They have come up with their own schemes and programs. Is what is this article all about? It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.